Hello everyone and welcome back to the GeekWave. This is the low budget show. It's the show so low it has no budget. I am your host Taryn Barker, and join me as we take a trip down some more pitches. I'm a pitch guy, yeah. I do a lot of pitches here because, come on, why wouldn't I? I'm a fan of these things. I have the ideas on stuff I'd like to see, and I want to talk about them. So in this episode of the GeekWave, we are talking about what could potentially be the next Harley Quinn animated series. Now, I loved the animated series of Harley Quinn. I thought it was brilliant. I thought it was fantastic. I want more of it. I'm glad did they confirm a season 3? I can't remember. I do believe they confirmed a season 3 for HBO Max, but I really want to see it. I think it's a good idea. I think it's one that we'll probably get at some point if it hasn't been confirmed yet. But I'm really excited to see what it could be. And I thought, what if other properties that you're familiar with went in the same route as Harley Quinn and wanted to do a more adult animated series? What could those look like? What comic book properties could those be? Or what old school properties we've seen before in television or film could potentially come here and become an animated property that's as good as Harley Quinn? So that is what we are doing here today. I got a couple properties to talk about, but before that, we got a little bit of news that I'm going to run down with you guys. And normally when we talk about news on the GeekWave, I don't like to go into like the celebrity deaths, people that have passed away, but I feel like we had some big ones this week that I feel like I should bring up just because of the importance of these people. And the first one being Sean Connery. Now, I've never been the biggest fan of Sean Connery. There's some people that you just can't get past the things they say. He was always one of those people to me that I wanted to really like, but I just could never get past the things he said about his misogyny, pretty much. But he has left a legacy behind, one that not a lot of people have, one that not a lot of people will. He's become a very famous name, somebody that a lot of people respect and know, and he is a good James Bond, man. Like he's one of those guys that made it work. He did his due diligence. He put in the effort, put in the hard work to get into this industry, and it shows, and he did. He made a lot of great films. He is definitely an actor's actor, and you love him or you don't. He's just a guy that had such empowerment on screen. He made, the women wanted to be with him, the men wanted to be him. That's something you should support and celebrate, because that is a man who knew who he was and was confident enough to be himself. So I'm not the biggest supporter of his. I do know his legacy is important. The Last Crusade, LXG, the James Bond stuff, Zardos, that's important. So rest in peace, Sean Connery, though I'm not your biggest supporter. I do know the impact you had on this culture and this world, and you will not be forgotten. You are the man who brought James Bond and action films into a new light, so thank you for everything you've done for cinema. And on the same note, thank you to Alex Trebek, who was probably the best host of any game show ever. Just a guy that radiated positivity, radiated the idea that knowledge is important, learning things is important, and you can have a serious, intense television program that teaches you stuff that's trivia-based and it's fun. Trebek is one of those guys that I've always adored. He's somebody I would have loved just to have a conversation with and just meet. And you see, I love seeing the way that the world has responded to his passing in this positive light, and it's just amazing to see where he's come from and how much people he's influenced, because he's such a genius man, and you just respect him and you admire him, and nobody has said anything negative about him, and you just want to have that energy around you. So I'm going to miss him. I'm really happy he did get to go out on top when it comes to his career on Jeopardy. I really like that. So Alex Trebek, another guy, may you rest in peace. My thoughts and prayers are with your loved ones, man. So I'm really sorry that I don't like talking about celebrity deaths when it comes to the GeekWave, just because it's sad. Nobody wants to hear it. I figured these two guys had a legacy for different reasons that was worth bringing up, even in just a little bit. So those are the deaths we'll start with, and we'll jump into some news here, starting with this really weird one. Did you guys know there is a David Bowie biopic coming out called Stardust? And it looks really dumb. So they dropped the trailer for this. It's Johnny Flynn. Now, I know Johnny Flynn is the guy who played the young Albert Einstein in Genius. That's where I first saw him. And something about this just felt bad. Was it the fact we didn't hear any of the songs? Potentially, that's probably one of the reasons. That's a bad sign. That's a really bad sign when you are making a biopic about a man who's a singer and a musician, that you don't hear any of the songs he created, like his legendary songs, some of the best songs ever written, and we don't hear them in the trailer. Now, does this only exist because Bohemian Rhapsody and Rocketman were Oscar nominated and Oscar winning movies? Yes, that's exactly why this exists. So, does it look bad? Yes. Does it look like David Bowie is going to be done right? No. Is this going to be something I'm excited for? Absolutely not. You tell me, if you got like the people who did Rocketman and Bohemian Rhapsody and you're telling me you're doing this, I'd be a little more excited, but this doesn't seem right to me. Mark Maron's in here for some reason. Like, what is this supposed to be? What is it trying to say exactly? I don't know. And I love biopics. I love movies about people. I think this one just doesn't have the right feel. It doesn't look like it's understanding the man, the myth that is David Bowie. And that's kind of sad, isn't it? That is pretty sad. So, why does this exist? I don't know. I guess we'll find out if it's going to be any good whenever it comes out. I don't think it's that interesting or compelling, but hey, if you want another one of these things, here it is. There's probably not going to be any of David Bowie's actual music in it, so live and let die. Paul McCartney. And we got this one. This was really weird. I was debating putting this on the news, but I'm like, this is too important not to talk about. The Lego Star Wars Holiday Special has dropped a trailer, and oh my goodness, does this look adorable. This is like what you do with a holiday special. Have fun with it. Don't take it seriously. I like it. It's like a time travel story where Rey's going across time to different periods. She meets Darth Vader. She meets a young Luke Skywalker. It's like, it's on continuity. Who cares? Old Han Solo's talking to young Han Solo. Billy D. Williams is back. Everything about it seems really fun and really cool, which is kind of what we wanted for Star Wars for so long. We really needed this. I cannot wait to see what this is going to look like. I'm probably going to do a full-on review of this. That's how much I loved the way this looked. It's just so funny and lighthearted. And that's what everybody needs right now from their Star Wars, man. We just want to have like that smooth sailing, just going here. Oh, here's some fun. Darth Vader and the Emperor are fighting. You know, everything's stupid and silly. That's what we want. That's what we need. Thank you for having this. I can't wait to see what this is. It's nice to have some Star Wars content I'm happy with. You know, The Mandalorian just came back, and I'm liking that a lot, actually. I'm definitely liking this season more than I did the first season. I thought the first season was pretty good. This one I've been so far just like, yeah, this is awesome. 2 episodes have come out. I've loved every second of it. Now, here's a rumor that I wanted to put in here just because I really like the idea. I don't know if this was confirmed. I couldn't really find any other reports except for some, like, you know, less than perfect comic book sites. But there are reports going around that comedian Jim Gaffigan, you know, that guy that is really just, I don't want to say he's like Jerry Seinfeld, but every clip of his comedy I've seen is very just like, we're not going to be sexy, you're not going to be like sexual or dark, we're just going to be like, why is everything so weird? World is weird. Canadians are weird. That comedian is potentially going to be playing Thundrbolt in Stargirl Season 2. Now, for those of you who don't know, they were teasing Thunderbolt and Jakeem in the first season of Stargirl. Mike's friend is Jakeem. We see the pen that houses Thunderbolt, and we hear it laughing. I think this is a really interesting choice. I doubt he'll do like the physical embodiment of Thunderbolt, but if we just do the voice in like a CGI thing every now and then, I think he's a good choice. He's definitely an oddball one because you wouldn't expect this kind of comedian to go for that role, but I think it could work really well. They've been doing a really good job with their casting on that show. So if this Jim Gaffigan news is true, I think it's a great fit. I'd love to see him in something like this. I always thought he would be a good side character for like a big blockbuster property or anything to that regard. Kind of like your Joel McHale couldn't really lead a movie, but he's a great foil. I think Jim Gaffigan's right up there too. So as Thunderbolt, that's a really outside choice I wasn't expecting, but I'm kind of intrigued by it. I like that idea a lot. So let's see what happens there. I support it fully. I think it's kind of cool. And my last piece of news. We're ending on a high note. Or are we? I don't know. Johnny Depp, that controversial man in that controversial Harry Potter movie from the controversial creator and the controversial Ezra Miller has been, he's kind of said, like, I decided to walk away from the Fantastic Beasts movie number 3. Even though Warner Brothers probably said, get out. You're too hot right now. We don't want you here. I don't care about this news. I put it in because I know some people are going to be passionate about it. Here's my take on all of this. If you're getting rid of Depp, you have to get rid of Amber Heard as Mara. Put Emilia Clarke in there. You have to do that. If you don't, that's bias. Amber Heard, while an interesting choice for Mara, one that I was okay with, she is just as controversial as the moment as Johnny Depp. Get rid of him. You have to get rid of her. You have to get rid of Ezra Miller. I don't care if you're launching a franchise with him with The Flash. You cannot keep Ezra Miller, but get rid of Johnny Depp. That's stupid. On that note, too, does anybody care about the Fantastic Beasts movies? I've seen them both. There's 2, right? They're boring. The first one was, There's animals loose in New York. The second one was, here's every character that's going to be important coming into the next sequel that we'll give you the information for. They're bad movies. And Johnny Depp was a terrible choice for Grindelwald to begin with. I don't know why they just didn't keep Colin Farrell. Maybe they'll bring him back when his Penguin is done. We'll see. It's such a stupid idea. All of it. All of these things are dumb. But I don't have to watch it. I'm not going to watch it. I don't care. If Johnny Depp never worked again, it wouldn't matter to me. He's done enough that I'm okay with seeing. And I just don't give a shit. I don't give a shit. Like, what am I supposed to feel? There's nothing about him that I care about. So that is all our news this week. Let's take a quick break. And when we come back, we're going to be talking about the Harley Quinn show. And we'll talk about some potential little things that could take off that mantle and be the next Harley Quinn. Let's take that break. So like I said at the top of the show, I really liked the Harley Quinn cartoon. I think there's something really poignant about it, really cool. If you look at it like the angle that it's 26 episodes leading to this very fascinating love story between Harley and Ivy, I think it's something that's very special that we haven't really seen in animation before. It's a very kind of stiff production too, where it's kind of just like, it's more like talking is the jokes instead of like the actual actions, which is some of my favorite stuff actually when it comes to cartoons. And just shows in general. I like the dialogue more than I need the big action pieces. So if there's good dialogue, I'm on board with it. The voice cast is great. The animation is great. Everything about it works really well and surprised me how well it did work out. I expected to like it. I didn't know I was going to love it and think it's one of the best interpretations of probably most of the characters in that show. I think it's one of the best interpretations of Ivy, of Harley, of Dr. Psycho, of King Shark, of Clayface, of Riddler, of Kite Man, of Joker, of Robin, of Commissioner Gordon, of Batgirl. Like, these are some great characteristics in such a dumb cartoon. It's amazing it works, but it does work. So I'm going to be pitching, I should say, not we. I'm going to be pitching to you a couple of my ideas for properties that could potentially be the next Harley Quinn. Now here's how it's going. I have 3 pitches that are from the DC universe. I have 3 pitches that are from Marvel Comics, and I have 4 pitches that are from other properties. So that gives us a total of 10 properties we're going to discuss. And of course, we will start with the DC Comics pitches. Now, here's the thing about the DC Comics pitches. I was going under the impression you could put it in the same continuity as the Harley Quinn cartoon, or do something different. I don't care. I really don't care, but I wanted to find the right balance of a character that could be a compelling lead, outside the ball enough where they'd probably get made and not have a lot of people complain, and be adult. So I didn't say like, oh, it's going to be Teen Titans. I didn't say that. My first pitch to you is a character who is very underutilized and has a distinct fan base. They are someone who is very interesting, could make for great television, and is just enough of a dick that he could be a really good lead. My first choice to you is Plastic Man. Now, I have not read a lot of Plastic Man books. The one I have read that he led is that Gail Simone 6-issue run. And I thought it was okay. But you know what I thought when I was reading it? I'm like, you could do something cool with Eel O'Brien. You could make him this really assholey Seth MacFarlane kind of just arrogant kind of comedy where it's like he thinks he's better than everyone, he gets knocked down a peg, and suddenly he's not the coolest hero in the world anymore, and he's protecting his one city. Now, I think there's a lot of angles where you could play up the sexual and adult nature. The guy can turn his body into anything. You could go to a lot of weird places with that, couldn't you? In terms of comedy and sex. Now, I'm not saying it has to be explicitly sexual, but come on, the guy is definitely sexual. Definitely a cool idea to play with. And you could even bring in some of those side characters like Harley Quinn does. You know, elongated man would be a great foil, like the stretchy boys, you could call them, or the Armstrongs, or just something stupid. And elongated man's like, I hate you. Why are you like this? Like, eel, why do you do this to me? You could bring in some of the outsiders like Metamorpho, Mr. Terrific. Just make him a huge dick in the universe that nobody wants to work with him, but he wants to prove himself as a hero. Regardless of that, he's fighting some stupid villains. He's just existing in this way that's so dumb and so ridiculous that nobody can take him seriously. And he's one of those characters too, just kind of like Harley Quinn, that kind of could toy the line between being a hero or just being the anti-hero. Now, I'm not saying Eel O'Brien is an anti-hero, because he's not really, he's a hero, but he's just a douche enough that you could be like, I don't want this guy to win. So seeing his struggles could be really fascinating, maybe for some great television, some great characteristics. I really like the character. I've always thought he was fascinating. I always thought too, you get Ben Schwartz. Ben Schwartz would be perfect. Like, live action or animated, he'd be the perfect voice for that character, the perfect fit. I think there's something cool about that. I always wanted to see some more of Plastic Man. This would be a great way to do it, and that character is just so unique that I think it'd be a great place to go. So that's why Plastic Man was my first pitch for this. He's one of the ones I initially started out like, I want to see more from him on television. I think this is a good place to do it. Now, my second pitch for DC is another one kind of like Plastic Man that I've always just been a fan of, and I wanted to find the right place to put him. So if you guys haven't seen some of the interviews with Dan DiDio, he recently just said that his favorite characters at DC were the Metal Men. Now, of course they are, because he wrote a Metal Men, like, 12-issue maxi series. That's really good. I actually really enjoy that series. I'll talk about it on this channel at some point, I do believe. But I really like these characters, and I think you could do something really fun here where they're like trying to be, you could do a great mix of trying to be Futurama meets Doom Patrol. You could give some sympathy to the Metal Men themselves while making Will Magnus kind of be like their X-Men type leader, like their Niles Calder, their Charles Xavier, or just make him more sleazy, you know, where he's just kind of like being a little gross and grimy, trying to talk to all these different people and be like, I'm the superior creator, I'm the superior mind in this universe. You could bring in Dr. Psycho as a rival. You could bring in some other like the Tornadoes, like Red Tornado, Red Inferno, that kind of stuff. You know, other robots like that they could fight. And you have enough characters where you could do distinct stories for each of them. Now, don't have me quote every single one of the Metal Men right now. There's iron, lead, gold, platinum, I do believe, copper, or tin. They're cool. They're all fun and distinct enough where they have different personalities. You could play up the idea that one of them has like an existential crisis at the idea that every time they die, or they don't know that they die every time, and when they come back, they see that Will just builds them a new body and they come back. You could play up that a lot. You could play some areas where Platinum's the only female, and she's just like, this is weird. Like, why did he create me? Who created me? It'd be a little more like mind trippy, I feel. Like that Doom Patrol feeling where everything's just kind of, you understand it, but it's just still a little like, this is weird and kind of just like off the wall a little bit. And these characters, they deserve more spotlight too. The Metal Men have enough potential to lead something. We've seen that before. I mean, they have their own book. And it's just, I like them. I think there's something really compelling about having these characters take center stage like that. You could get weird and get kind of sexual again. It could be very adult with the idea of creation and is Will like their father, and how does that affect his relationship with some of the things? How do they feel when there's other robots around? Does like one of them try to go on a date with a robot and it doesn't work? You could do a story where Platinum tries to date Red Tornado or something, or maybe like the Amazo robot comes to fight them or something. Like, there's a lot of angles you could take with this that I would just love to see, because it's different. It's not something you would be expecting from DC, just having these characters take the lead. So I wanted to try to find something that's a little different for them, a little unique. And my final pitch for DC, this is why I did this episode. This is the one I actually I was writing a little bit of like an idea for a pilot for this one, actually. So my pitch for the next animated show in the vein of Harley Quinn It has to be. It has to be the Flash's Rogues Gallery. Now, here's my pitch for you guys. We follow Leonard Snart. He is Captain Cold. He is full on there in his like classic Eskimo suit, just trying to be a villain in Central City. And as he's slowly starting to realize that he is no longer the biggest threat in Flash's life. There's so many speedsters, so many of these other characters that are more intense. There's gorillas and people running fast and literal embodiments of death. And he's like, what happened to the simple days? And he's kind of crotchety about it. So he has a plan. He wants to become the next big threat to Flash again, become the next thing. Not Turtle, not Grodd, not Zoom. He wants to become the next big threat again. And he can't do it alone. So he wants to put together a team of some of the older, just like foes of Flash who still want to find their redemption and become these different heroes again. So here's my lineup for the actual story. Captain Cold, Leonard Snart, of course. Weather Wizard, who would be the Ivy type character. I think he's powerful enough, but you could also make him kind of just like, dude, this is dumb. Like, let's just go back. We'll just chill out, play some Xbox kind of thing. That's what I think you could do with that character. Pied Piper, I would have it as the younger version. I can't remember what his name is. Harker, something like that. I don't know. I'd do it the young Pied Piper, and he's kind of like starting out to become a criminal. So he's like, hey, I can work with Captain Cold. He's well known enough, but Captain Cold's kind of in like a depressive state because he's no longer the Flash's archenemy. And then I think you get in Heatwave for your random act of just crazy, and Mirror Master to be your Kite Man character. Now, I love the Flash's Rogue Gallery. I've always been a fan of these characters. These ones specifically. I like Professor Zoom, and the Reverse Flash stuff, and Black Death, and the Racer, and all those things. I like them. But I love the Rogues Gallery. These characters they just embody classic to me. Everything I love about the golden age of comics. They're just so dumb and bizarre. So my idea for the actual show was, because I did think about this one a lot, is they start off in their classic golden age costumes. Then when they all come together to be the team, they get some modern updated stuff. Snart starts to become a leader and take control of this. Then you do things where they're trying to take out other criminals in Central City. Like I had an idea where they're trying to fight the Turtle, but the Turtle slows down time. So they're all trying to beat him up in slow motion, but he's just walking around being normal. I was like, maybe for like a season finale, they try to take down the Reverse Flash and they all get trapped in different places. You could have Golden Glider come in and all the guys are like, man, she's hot. And Snart is just like, that's my sister. What are you guys doing? Like, stop. I think there's something really... This one, I think out of everyone I said, this is the one that has the most potential. It's the one I'd love to see the most. I love these characters. If I was ever fortunate enough where I talked to like the creator of Harley Quinn, or was I able to pitch to like HBO Max, like, we want another animated series, I'd say like, here's what you do. You do the Harley Quinn thing, but you take it over here with these Flash characters, and you could do something that's a little different, little off the wall, take them in these different directions than what we've seen before, and it could be really fun and unique. Because the Flash's Rogues Gallery are a bunch of colorful characters, so let's embody that, let's have fun with it. Harley Quinn showed us it can work when we have the one villain fighting the other villains and the interplay between that, and I think that could be really cool to see with a character like this. How would they make Pied Piper look cool? How would they make him like a big threat? I've always had that idea where like, one of my ideas for it actually was Snart and the Pied Piper are like outside the Flash Museum because they like broke in to steal some stuff. And they're standing, like the cops are surrounding them, everyone's surrounded, and then the Pied Piper just starts playing on the fiddle, right? And everyone's just like, what is he doing? But instead of like actually like controlling the cops, a rat just comes up and like crawls up his legs and he freaks out and starts just like, oh geez. And I think that could be just a really fun angle to play. I love these characters. I really think this would work. If you guys are interested, I will finish working on that script for the pilot. And if you guys have any contacts out there for the larger DC Comics universe, you guys, HBO Max, you guys, if you're looking for another animated thing here, hit me up. I'll get that script up to you in no time. But it could be really fun. I love that idea. I really like that idea that Snart's like, I used to be the big thing. Now it's the Reverse Flash. Now it's these other characters. I want to be the big thing again. So I'd call it Rogues Gallery. It'd be fun. So switching away from DC for a little bit, we are going to move to Marvel Comics, where I got a couple of pitches that I'm very excited about. The first one being one that we almost had already, and that was Deadpool. This one was in works from Donald Glover, and I think his brother were working on it. I wish this got through. I have a love-hate relationship with Deadpool. I like what the character is. I don't like what he represents, if that makes any sense. But an animated series, that could be better than any movie of him. I'll just say that. Because then the fourth wall breaking makes sense, and it works naturally. We wouldn't have Ryan Reynolds just ruining the character, and we could do something bold and interesting. Nolan North could voice him because he's the best voice for that character. You could have a larger Marvel universe in there and do some cool, unique things in that regards, which I'd love to see and be a part of that. I think it'd be so cool, so interesting. I just want more from that, you know? And Deadpool himself, he can lead stuff. We've seen it before. He's led so many comic books. He's led a video game. He's a good enough character where he is essentially, now not really, but essentially, he is their version of Harley Quinn. So play that up a little bit, I think. Either way, works for me. Pretty cool. I love seeing Deadpool and stuff, and I think that could be really fun. And if MODOK does well, I could see that Deadpool show being worked out again. Maybe they're just talking to Donald like, maybe make it now. We'll tone down some of this stuff. We'll throw it on Disney Plus. Bada bing, bada boom. We're all good here. But moving away from Deadpool, another reason why I did this one was imagine Harvey Birdman in the Marvel Universe. That's right, my pitch for another adult-situated comedy animated for Marvel is Jennifer Walters, the She-Hulk. Now just imagine it. Just imagine it. She is the Harvey Birdman character in the Marvel Universe. All these low-life heroes or even big-name heroes are coming up to her looking for legal advice for stupid shit. Just random things they did, you know? Even villains could come in. And it could take place entirely in the courtroom. And she's fighting, like, you could have one of, like, another villain that's, like, as the other lawyer representing the, like, victim or the other people. And you could just have something so cool in there. Like a really funny courtroom drama, but with the Marvel characters. I think that'd be so funny, so cool. Like I've said for numerous times, She-Hulk is one of my favorite characters in the Marvel Universe. That John Byrne run is one of my favorite, most inspiring comics. Like a lot of my writing has been informed by what that book did and what it represented. And I really think having that character not being played up in the way she would be in the MCU could really show you the diversity of her. She could be a little more sexy and maybe no one takes her seriously as a lawyer. We're probably not going to play into that completely in the MCU, so having it in this cartoon, it could be a really cool idea just to see. Here she is a lawyer. She has to make herself seem like she understands what she's doing, even though she does, but nobody thinks she does. And she's representing some stupid people, you know? Maybe she's like Paste Pot Pete. She's representing Paste Pot Pete. And he's just like, I didn't paste them. You did, though. We saw the paste, you glue freak. You know, that kind of silly stuff. I think that'd be fun. She's just got that right build to be, like I said it before, she could be their Wonder Woman if they tried harder. She really could. And she should be in their trinity with Wolverine and Spider-Man. End of that discussion. But just think about it. Harvey Birdman with She-Hulk in the Marvel Universe. Tell me that wouldn't be awesome. Because it would be awesome and something a lot of people would love to see. So that is my other pitch there. And my third one for Marvel, another one that I actually think I pitched a similar idea in the first ever episode of GeekWave when I was talking about my dream Marvel pitches. Give me some Janet Van Dyne shit. Give me a classic, like set it in the 80s, and she is like this high society fashion designer who's also secretly a superhero, and she's trying to design all these suits for these other like superheroes, and she's still trying to be like, you could have the balance of two worlds where it's like the high society fashion world where she's going all across the country or all across the world, even to these different fashion shows, and she's fighting like maybe different supervillains that are also in the fashion industry. And you could just have it kind of be like that, you know, that classic Blake Edwards kind of feeling of like writing where it's like this fast pace, everything's sexy and funny, but there's still like a confidence there that you don't see anymore. And then at the same time, you just have like this woman who's just like, I'm just trying to be a hero, be a fashion designer, and be the best at what I do. And you could even play up angles like, oh, she dated Tony Stark before. And you could potentially bring in like Hank Pym's daughter with another woman who's trying to like learn under her or something. I don't know, just something silly and dumb. But I do want to set it in the 80s when everyone's got like those stupidly classic costumes, because like one of the jokes could be like every time she sees Hawkeye, she's like, really? You're sticking with this? This is the costume you decided to wear forever. This one. And she'd just be like, maybe some sunglasses, take off that mask, something silly, come on. That's what you decided on. Really, Cap? You're going with those colors? Really? That's what you're doing? That kind of stuff I think could be really fun. And the same things I said about She-Hulk, I can say about Janet Van Dyne. She could be a much bigger character if Marvel just pushed her. Her, She-Hulk, and the Invisible Woman could be Wonder Woman level characters if they just got the push they needed, not the thing the MCU did with them. If they just got the right push, they could be top level characters. So I think like a Ryan Murphy pose style thing in the 80s in a cartoon of Janet Van Dyne leading. Nadia Pym could show up, like Yellow Jacket could be in there somewhere, and she's just pissed off at Hank. Because I don't want to make Hank like an asshole, but if he's just Yellow Jacket being this like becoming a big hero again and she's pissed off at him for it, I think that could work too. So those are my Marvel pitches and my DC pitches. Now, I love all of these properties. I love comics, so I'm like, yeah, I could write any of these in maybe a week if somebody said, hey, do your pilot for your She-Hulk or your Wasp or your Deadpool or your Metal Men, Plastic Man, Rogues. I could do it. I could. At the same time, here are 4 other properties, not Marvel or DC, that could work in the same style as Harley Quinn. Starting with Red Sonja, because why hasn't this happened yet? Why have we not had Red Sonja in a bigger presence somewhere? We live in the newest era of these characters where they are getting the spotlight they deserve in the comic books. It would make so much sense to me to take that jump to the next level. Now, I think you could definitely play it up, and I think you could get more fans if you did it in animation, just because if you play it up a little bit more like it's funnier, but it's still like violent and there's death and blood everywhere, it could work really well. I think a lot of people would enjoy seeing that, because Red Sonja herself, well, seriously, she's a serious character at some points. There's been some more comedy-based writers or more dramedy-based writers that have written her in previous years, and I think that could be a better angle to play up for the character. But she could definitely lead her own stuff. She's definitely interesting enough to do that, and I think a lot of people would appreciate having Red Sonja in a bigger role. I do believe there was a minute there where she was getting her own movie, but I think that stopped because Bryan Singer was attached. So thank God that didn't happen. But come on. Where's the push for more Red Sonja stuff? We just got, like, last year, or was it the beginning of this year, actually? Well, sometime, I think it might have been the beginning of this year, we just got that animated Mortal Kombat movie. Now, imagine that style and that vision, but kind of like Harley Quinn, where she's, like, in her fantasy world, fighting her villains, fighting the characters in that world, and how that could be cool. I think that'd be really fun and really interesting to see. Now, I'm going to save my favorite one for last, even though it's next in my notes. So we'll jump to the other two. One of them being something I've again, in the vein of Red Sonja, I'm amazed we haven't got a bigger push for this guy yet, and that is Willy Wonka. Now, there's always been the rumor that Willy Wonka was going to be coming to a prequel movie at some point, and I even did casting for him. Like Alan Tudyk should be him. I'm just saying, but like imagine like an animated series focused on Willy Wonka and the Chocolate Factory, just trying to like get the place to function, but not even like how we've seen him in the other movies, but like he's in like a board meeting and he's this over the top character, and everyone's like, dude, you can't have a boat in your chocolate. Like, that's a huge health violation. We can't have you doing that, Wonka. And he's just like, well, who owns the company? I do, bitch, because he's a sadistic lunatic. Play that up a little bit and have maybe like he like a new intern starts there. Maybe get rid of some of the get rid of the Oompa Loompas altogether and have it just be factory workers, kind of like Star Trek Lower Decks, where we're just seeing like the people that work in the Willy Wonka in the chocolate factory, and Wonka's just like this weird lunatic to them who doesn't really understand anything, and he's just like, come on, lick the walls. Lick the wall, tell me what you taste. And they're like, dude, back the fuck up for a second, okay? I'm not licking your goddamn wall. I think that could be really funny. I love Willy Wonka. I love that world. So do more with it is what I say to that. And then my other one here, before we get into my last one, just like Red Sonja and Willy Wonka, it's a property I'm surprised they haven't brought back for more stuff yet. Again, too, it was rumored to get a prequel or a follow-up series. but I think an animated property would work really well for this, and that is The Warriors. Now, The Warriors is a 70s movie about this gang called The Warriors who was accidentally framed for killing this gang leader named Cyrus, and they have to make it back home to Staten Island, or no, Coney Island? They have to make it back to one of the islands in New York before they are killed by rival gangs. Now, here's why I think it would work good in animation. Bright, colorful characters. You could see the differences between all the characters in the Warriors, but also in all the gangs. You could have so many unique ideas for the gangs. Imagine the Baseball Furies in animation, man. That would look sick. I'd absolutely love to see that. You could get more violent with it, have a little more punches. It wouldn't be so as like stylized as we saw in the actual movie. It could just be a little more dark, and you could see blood and have things actually happen and add that layer of fright. But it'd also just give you more in depth to like actually seeing the fear in these people trying to get back to their island. I think that could be really cool and really scary. I have a pitch to redo the Warriors on television in live action, but I'm like, maybe animation's the way to do it. Because animation, you could get more colorful, more creative, allow different things to happen. Maybe add a supernatural element to it. I don't know. But there's just so many cool characters in there for designs that I'm just like, you gotta do it. You gotta do it. I'd wonder, though, if you would use the same characters, you know, like Ajax and all of them. Or if you'd do different characters. That's a compelling idea, too. I don't know. But I kind of like the idea that you use the same people with different voices and then you just get them in there. But I'd love to see the Baseball Furies, man. Again, like, the Baseball Furies are such a cool concept. I'm literally amazed we haven't seen more from them. I think they're an inspiration for Casey Jones, if I'm being honest. Like, that's how much I love the Baseball Furies and how important I think they are to pop culture as a whole. Whenever there's like the little bit of Warriors merchandise or stuff trickling out, Baseball Furies are right there with them. So I think they're very important. And finally, my number one pick to make an animated series in the vein of Harley Quinn. The other reason, aside from the Rogues Gallery, I chose to do this list is Nope, it's not Superman. It's the Mistress of the Dark, Elvira. Because Elvira is such a character that desperately, I say desperately like it's a bad thing, but she really, really, really needs a modern reboot. Now, I don't mean that in a negative. I love Cassandra Peterson. She's one of the few women I would literally sacrifice my life for without even meeting her. I absolutely adore her. But the character of Elvira is so timeless and classic that you should definitely do more stuff with it. It goes back to that thing with the Warriors and Red Sonja and Willy Wonka. There's such a cool character there. Bring it back into the modern day. Don't make your Funko Pop stuff. Come on, we got a really good comic book that came out from Dynamite. We actually had two. There was one that came out, which was the 12-issue maxi series that I think would be the best flow for the actual TV show. We'll get into that in a second here. And then you had The Shape of Elvira, which is like a parody of The Shape of Water. Now, my pitch would be kind of like updating that comic and doing something with that on the animated property. So to me, that would be, in that book, she gets sent to classic places in all of like horror literature. So she meets Mary Shelley, she meets like Frankenstein's monster and Frankenstein himself, and she meets Edgar Allan Poe and all these different people. That is such a cool concept to have a fourth wall character like that who's so comfortable and confident in her sexuality and her presence that she can go to all these different places and have fun with there. She's such a gothic icon. I'm amazed. They haven't tried to make an animated property with her. I am telling you, an animated Elvira would be amazing. It has all the right elements to be something like Harley Quinn. I'm trying to think of like an Archer even. It has all those right elements to do that. She's a confident woman. That's important. You could get some crazy animation in there. You could do something really cool. There's an inadvertent sexual nature to her. Even though she doesn't sleep with anybody, she likes making jokes about it. That's important for that character. I think there's something really cool about that. You could get Cassandra Peterson to voice her. Tell me she wouldn't be perfect for an animated voice of Elvira. She is that character. She is that woman. It would work so well. I really need to see it. I really want to see it. If there was ever a time to do it, I think it's now, when we're having all these properties and these people come back in big ways. Plus, with COVID-19, we don't have to have everybody in the same room to reboot this. We just have her record the voice. We could make a lot of cool outfits. Like, it'd be really cool. And it would introduce Elvira to a new generation of fans that have no clue who she is. I'm a young guy. I love old stuff. I'm not saying Elvira is old stuff. I'm just saying she is from an era that doesn't really exist anymore, and not a lot of people are familiar with who she is. But bringing her into the modern day in an animated property with Cassandra there, it'd work really well. I think it's very important, something that should happen, something that absolutely needs to happen. Fucking hell, I'll write the thing. If we can, somebody message Elvira, tell her, hey, this guy online is complaining that you don't have an animated series and he wants to write it for you. I'll do it. I'll literally do that till I die, is just work on an Elvira thing. I would love to be involved in the process of writing that character any day of the week. I love her. So that's why I'm like, just do the Dynamite comic book that just came out. You could add in other elements too, like kind of maybe troping other horror or gothic stuff. Like maybe you could have it like, oh, she's doing a thing with like Halloween, or even The Shape of Water, which was a book she did too. You could have her doing all these things and even going to these places and fighting these kind of characters. Like she could go to like Slumber Party Massacre. And she's like, you girls are so bad at this. This is how you kill a massacre guy. And just boom, he's dead. That kind of stuff. That's like, modernize this character just a little bit more than you have before. And you've done a great job of modernizing her. I don't want anybody to think I don't think that. I think they have modernized her really well. But come on, animated, that's a great place to take it. My other pitch for like updating Elvira is, and I don't know if you would ever do this, but a Bachelor Big Brother style of animated show where Elvira is like the host of the show, and there's all these other like women or men, even men and women from different walks of life who are in this like total drama island / Big Brother thing where they're competing to be the next icon of the dark, the next Mr. or Mistress of the dark. And Elvira's like, let's fight to take my role or something like that. I think that could be a really fun place to take that too. I love this. I love Elvira. She deserves it. She deserves an animated show. She really does. How was that? Did I get a little too passionate at the end there? I think I might have, but you know what? It doesn't matter. I did it. I could probably talk about Elvira till I'm like blue in the face and like dying because I don't have any oxygen coming in, but I think we'll leave it there. Those are my 10 picks for animated series that could potentially be the next Harley Quinn. Now, to recap, we had Metal Men, Plastic Man, The Flash's Rogues Gallery, Deadpool, She-Hulk, The Wasp, Janet Van Dyne, Red Sonja, Willy Wonka, The Warriors, and of course, Elvira, Mistress of the Dark. Now, thank you guys so much for watching this video, but before you go, why don't you stay tuned and I will tell you some of my recommendations for this week, because there's a few good ones in here I'm very excited about. First off, Zardoz, just because, rest in peace, Sean Connery. Just look up Zardoz or Sean Connery and look at that outfit he's wearing. It's pretty interesting. Also, go binge some Jeopardy. Let's support him. Let's all remember Alex Trebek for the genius and brilliant mind that he was, because he's amazing, and we should support him in every endeavor he takes. Also, watch Elvira, Mistress of the Dark, that movie from the 80s. It will change your life. It changed mine. I'm literally looking at a poster of that movie while I'm sitting here and recording, because it's always near me, and I'll never leave. I'll never not have it near me, which is a weird thing to say, but it's true. I'm surprised this turned out to be the longest GeekWave I recorded that wasn't live, but you know what? That doesn't matter, because this is very important. And you know what? Watch Harley Quinn. The first 2 seasons are on HBO Max. I am telling you, it is a show that will change your life and make you realize there's some good stuff that can be done in animation with these characters that you wouldn't generally expect from them. So, those are my picks for shows that could be the next Harley Quinn animated series. Please let me know what you guys think about my picks and if you like them, and what are your thoughts on my Elvira stuff. I'm very curious. So again, thank you guys so much for watching this review. Be sure to like and subscribe to the channel. As always, you can check me out on Instagram, Patreon, Twitter, all that good stuff, and I will catch you in the next one. Have fun. Stay safe. Good luck. Tsunami Studios.